Welcome to the future.
Who's this clown?
Not clown. Joker.
Avengers!
Assemble.
Nobody tampers with the equipment except Tony Stark.
Good idea.
United, the Avengers are strong.
Hawkeye, hands off.
Fool! Have you forgotten my invincible magnetic power?
Not this time, Magneto.
My mutant brain senses danger.
Something unseen is slowly spreading its poison, edging tempers.
Think carefully before you do this.
You filthy criminals.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What up, YouTube? It's another fresh live episode of Two Fat Guys Pull List, issue 139. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're not, and this is your, this is your go-to Sunday night, welcome. We appreciate you being here. We're going to kick off the show with me, just Jim, for a little bit. Needs taking care of some stuff, but he will chime in here in a bit. But welcome to everyone that is watching live and who's watching this as a previous episode. It's a decent show. I'm not gonna say decent. It was a weird week for comics, but we'll wait for Nate to jump in before we really dive into this week, which was. We'll get to it. I'm trying to dive into it without saying we need to hold off. Anyway, let's talk about some business for the show first, really quick. We'll talk about our show's sponsor, which is Collected Comics and Games here in the DFW area. They are our LCS here. Me and Nate frequent. That is where we get our books. Ron takes care of us. So is Brent. And yeah, if you're ever in the DFW area, they have 3 locations now. One soon to be opening in Irving, but they have one in Fort Worth and one in Keller. So if you're ever in the DFW area, make sure to hit that up and check them out. Also, they have a website called brainycomics.com. We'd love for you to head over to brainycomics.com, where you can get some really cool stuff over there. You can get some exclusive and variant covers, bad idea books, bundles, new comic books, mystery bags, back issues, graphic novels, games, toys and collectibles, and even trading cards. Yeah, you can get a lot of cool stuff over there. So if you're thinking about doing a little bit of online shopping, some online retail therapy, head on over to brainycomics.com, do a little bit of shopping, and then before you check out, we'd love for you to type up in that search bar Two Fat Guys Pull List, and when you press enter, this is what's going to pop up. It is a upgrade and premium upgrade that goes into your shopping account or shopping cart account. Put it in your shopping cart. If you put the regular upgrade in there, you get 1 mystery exclusive variant cover. If you do the premium for $15, you get 2. Now, if you looked at the front page, most of these are valued at about $15. So you're already getting a great deal doing the standard Two Fat Guys Pull List upgrade. But if you do the premium for $15, you're getting a really good deal here, because you're paying that $15. You're going to get 2 that are well worth more than what that upgrade is. So make sure to head over to brainycomics.com, do a little bit of shopping, put that Two Fat Guys Pull List upgrade into your cart, check out, and then wait for it to come in the mail. And when it does, make sure to tag us when you see it, when it comes in, so we can see what you got, because we'd love to see what Rom sent you over from brainycomics.com. All right, well, that's going to do it for that part of the business. Also, let's talk about our sub goal giveaway. We're on the road to 950 subscribers. We're inching closer. I think currently, as of recording this, now this number goes up and down, but right now we're at 865 subscribers. So we're on our way. We're on our way to 950, but we can't do it without your support. So if you're already subscribed, thank you so much for subscribing. If you're not, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Super easy. Just click that thing and we're done. Also make sure to hit that like button for this video. We would love to see that. We want to get this out. But yeah, that's oh wait, but what are we giving away at 950 subscribers, Jim? That's what you're asking. Well, when we hit 950 subscribers, we're going to go ahead and give away this King in Black number 5 spoiler variant, Ryan Stegman spoiler variant, 9.8 from CBCS. We'll give this away at 950 subscribers. It's a pretty doozy of a book, pretty cool book. So we'll give that away at 950. And then you guys know what we're giving away at 1,000. You guys all know. And when we hit 950, we only need 50 more subscribers at that point, and then we'll be giving away this. It's Amazing Spider-Man number 4, Original Sin tie-in, 9.8 CBCS grade, first appearance of Silk. So I know I'm harping it hard, but this is the business, right? hit that sub button so we can give away these slabs. Let's do it. All right, let's get to some chat, and we're just gonna have a little, a little bit of a chit chat here before we start the show. Wait for Nate to get on. So let's just see what happens here. Joe, greetings. This wasn't a bad week, more mid than great, but a few were awesome. Disciple says, for me, this week was great. Sleeper hit was that Night Terror's Joker issue. It was excellent. I did not read it, but I know Nate did, so I'm sure he'll have some thoughts on that. I have some general thoughts about Night Terrors, but we'll get to them when we get to them. Let's just say I'm not really, I don't know, guys. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But for some reason, I wasn't feeling it. But we'll get to it. We'll get to that. What up, John? Joe, I think we let you know we sent out the slabs and the comics, so everybody should be getting their stuff that they either won or were presented. Those things should be coming in the mail soon. So hopefully they come in soon. I think they should be coming in tomorrow. So anyone that won a slab a couple weeks ago, or I believe Joe, you're the one that wanted the Void Rivals, that will be coming in soon. Should be tomorrow. My pick of the week is Spider-Man issue 10 by Slott and Bagley. Really dug the idea of Spider-Man's sense heightened so much he could feel everyone's fear, and loving Spider-Boy. Interesting. I have not started to read that yet. Just kind of not on my radar, but maybe I should check it out. Disciple, I'm not going to lie. The Batman issue was very underwhelming for me. Outside of the body horror with the young Bruce throwing at the bat, kind of weak compared to Joker and Poison Ivy. I've heard really good things about the Joker Night Terror book. I've heard it was hilarious. I heard it was intriguing and good. So maybe I should have picked that up. But Preacher was my pick of the week, or Peacemaker. Sorry, was my pick of the week. I'm so into that book. It was really good this week. I mean, it was good. I'm not gonna say really good. It was fun. This week, I think was it Joe, or was it? Yeah, Joe said it wasn't a bad week. It's kind of a midweek. I agree with that sentiment. It was a very midweek for me, and I'm debating if I'm going to have a pick of the week. Peacemaker was good, but it didn't slap as hard as the first two issues. I will say that. Like, it was not as eventful as the previous two issues. Man, my hat is tight. Loosen it up a bit, because that is like killing my brain right now. There we go. That feels better. Oh, that feels so much better. I don't know. Peacemaker just kind of didn't hit as hard as I wanted it to. It was fun. Don't get me wrong. But it just wasn't. It didn't slap as well or as much as the previous two issues. The previous two issues were on point. They were my picks of the week both times. But I don't know about this week. It was good though. There were some fun bits in it. I thought the writing was good. I thought the flow of the comic went really well. I think it overall it was good. Joe, Night Terrors was all right in my opinion, but if James Tynion was still at DC, I would be more excited for this event if he was on the book. We'll get to it, man. I'm telling you right now, I've got some thoughts about Night Terrors, and I think Nate does too. I think Nate read everything that came out Night Terrors related, so he should have a better, more well-rounded opinion on the current so-called event. But it's interesting, I watched some other channels yesterday, more specifically, who were talking about kind of this week's roundups, and one channel was talking about Night Terrors and how they didn't know how they were going to tackle it. They didn't know how they were going to cover it on the show. I don't think it was a question if they were going to, but they were just really concerned with the amount of content that is related for this event, and it blows my mind that there are as many books and tie-ins that there are for this event because of my opinion on it. And again, I don't want to give it until we get to that point in the show when Nate's here, because I really am very interested to hear what Nate has to say about Night Terrors, because again, he read all of them this past week. And I only read, I guess, the Omega and Batman. But from what I've, John or no, Joe, no, I'm sorry, Disciple, from what I've heard, Joker was the best one. I've heard some good thing, or not good things, but I've heard a little bit on the beat on Poison Ivy. So you know, there is definitely some potential. But I agree, Batman was very mid. It just wasn't. It definitely left a very sour taste in my mouth. I guess I give that little preview to the entire idea of me wanting to read Night Terrors. I'm just not. I don't know. Well, I don't want to give it away. Like I want it to be fresh. I hope all is well, everyone. Oh, what's up, Patty? I got a new puppy, so might have to catch the upload afterwards. His name is Crypto. Nice. That is sick, dude. Congratulations on the new puppy. Just you know. Make sure you don't have any furniture that you want to keep around. Extreme Universe number 4 had Peach solo story and Manga Venom female character. Nice. What up, Jaden? I feel sad for Spider-Boy. He's like a 10 or he's like 10 or so, and he's all alone in a world that doesn't remember him. Dan Slott did a great job making me feel for this kid. Interesting, man. I gotta jump on this. I might need to jump on this. This run here in a bit. I don't know. Guess I'm missing out. Well, let's go ahead and I think I'm just gonna go ahead and jump into the show because there's some books that Nate I know didn't read. But let's just jump into Daredevil. Daredevil was good. I liked it a lot. I don't think it was as strong as issue 12. I think issue 12 was definitely stronger. What up, neighborhood? I'm glad you're here, man. I'm so glad you're here. Nate should be here in a minute. Is it bad that I'm sick of all these spider people? You know, I don't know. I don't think. Let me jump back here since we're kind of still staying in chat. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think. What's the equivalent in DC that's got like multiple variants that are just like kind of the norm? Can someone tell me that in chat? Because I'm not annoyed with it. I genuinely like it. I think what I want Spider-Man comics to do, if they're going to continue down the road of having multiple variants and versions of the character, or just different versions or different characters that are spider related, is, and I think I've said this before on the show, I want Marvel to go down what DC's doing right now with supers, you know, with the super family. I think Spider-Man and the Spider family and the Spider-Verse would do a world of justice for them to have a story style just like what we're doing in Superman and Action Comics right now with the super family. You know, all the characters are somewhat involved. We're building upon them being there outside of just popping in and out, and they're a reliable unit that is currently superheroing. And I think we could do a lot of good with a story style like that for Spider-Man. And I don't know if we need to kind of mold it like what's currently going on in the Spider-Verse movies, even though, you know, there's like a whole like rebellion and out of haywire. But I think the idea of that kind of that multiversal society, I think it would be a really cool comic, because then you could highlight different variants and or different characters within the Spider-Verse. And I know they've done that before in you know, a couple years ago with the Spider variants, which, you know, has been done. But I mean, Marvel has been trying to do the whole like back, you know, to finish his run, yada yada yada. Like, we could do the same thing with Spider-Man. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Let's get back here. Got that too. Peach Momoko's story was beautiful, and Magic Girl Venom was a nice read. Joe, I liked Daredevil this week, but the pacing was so fast I couldn't vibe with everything that was going on. We'll get into that because I agree with that. I feel like multiple variants character thing has only really been explored with Batman. Okay, with DC. Is there a variant ratio over cover that features Okay, the new character I'm trying to track down. Joe, DC has a lot of Robins and Superman people. Yeah, that's true. Okay, well, let's just jump into to Deviant. Or not Deviant, sorry, Daredevil. Yeah, overall it was a fun issue, but Joe, I think you hit the nail on the head. The pacing was incredibly fast, and I think that this, if there was a negative about the issue, it's that that Chip Zdarsky is sprinting to the finale of this book, and I think that with multiple issues or multiple runs currently at Marvel and DC, but mainly Marvel, are coming to a close, we are seeing how quickly writers are to sprint to the end of their run, and where it's almost as if there are no consequences to the end of their run. They have to wrap it up in a nice way so that whoever picks up the character down the road has whatever they want to do. They can do whatever they want, right? And then we can speak more to that when we get to Thor. But this one definitely, like, the buildup was cool, right? But then we get into this whole, like, Hell War, and man, we got introduced to a bunch of different concepts very quickly, and then they were resolved very quickly. I will say the biggest consequence in the book is the fact that Murdoch is stuck in hell. That's pretty dang cool, you know? So there's that, but I would assume that's going to get flushed out and remedied by the end of the actual run. But like the introduction of this sister demon and, you know, Murdoch being played again by the concept of the hand, you know, it did feel rushed. But if we put all that aside, right? If we put all that stuff aside and we look at the artwork, holy shit, the artwork with Chichetto, the dude's insane, right? And then the writing was good. It just felt rushed. So overall, I'd probably give the issue in its entirety a B-. But yeah, it did feel very rushed. There were a lot of concepts being thrown at you. Damn Chip rushing the finish line. LOL, enjoy Doctor Strange this week as well. Why did this run get renumbered again? Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil should be numbered in the 50s, including Devil's Reign. I agree. I have no idea why. You know, I think Nate probably could give a better explanation as to why. Well, probably not. He'd give a better guess to why. But I have no clue. It doesn't make any sense to renumber it when we're still dealing with everything that we set up in the previous run, if you will. You know, like that stuff still exists. And so I don't know. I don't know why Marvel does that. I really don't. And I don't know why DC doesn't do it more often. It's like you got to find the right balance when it comes to numbering. And it just seems like neither company can figure out like the perfect way to number books, whether it's renumbering or staying pace on numbers. It's got to be a happy medium, right? Anyway, overall, it was fine. It was fun, and I think it did what it needed to do, but it did feel very rushed. Is Chip done with Marvel after this ends? I don't know. I mean, I haven't read any solicitations as to what he's going to be writing next for Marvel, if anything. So if that's a clue, then oops, you know. But I don't know. I don't think so. But I would have to assume that his Batman run's coming to an end too. But who knows? I don't know. I don't know what Chip's doing. Marvel's been kind of tight-lipped on I wouldn't say tight-lipped, but like a lot of books are ending and then getting renumbered with new writers and new creative teams. I mean, Daredevil is, Thor is, not X-Men, obviously. We're still in the thick of it when it comes to X-Men or Iron Man, but there are a couple books that are coming to their end, and either they've been announced with new writers, but yeah, I have not heard what Chip is doing after this, so it's kind of crazy. It's crazy that Chip didn't write the Batman Night Terror book. I hope he isn't in the hot seat. We'll get to that. I don't think he is because, well, we'll get to it. But anyway, Daredevil 13 was a silly goose time, but could have taken its time. I think a bunch of folks need to lightly tap the like button. Thank you, John. Appreciate the reminder. Yes, please hit that like button before we continue. All right, let's jump over to Thor Annual number 1. I think if there is a pick of the week this week for me in this very B- week, it's probably this. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the button.
That's Chips. Pick of the week.
I liked this book. I thought this was fun. I really was on the fence if I were going to pick it up. And then I picked it up and looked and saw the artwork, and holy shit. Like, artwork alone, this book is super fun. But the concept of what this was. Now, I will say, this whole idea, and I don't know if it is or not. I could be wrong. Maybe I could look it up. But, the annuals were supposed to be, let's see, Chaos of Champions, Marvel. And there's got to be a list, right? Let's see. Here we go. Here's our list. Oh, so it's not. Okay, so not all the annuals. All the annuals were not. I thought all the summer annuals were supposed to be in this Contest of Chaos event, but apparently it's not. So never mind. I will not say that thought. So this had nothing to do with the Contest of Chaos, which makes more sense now because it didn't feel like it had anything to do with it. But overall, it was super fun. Who is Mythos? We had this version of MODOK infused with the Rainbow Bridge. It was dope. It was so good. We've and MODOK finally had a body that fit his giant head, his giant ass head. It was great. But the artwork was fantastic. I thought that story was good. And then, what originally drew me before opening the book to potentially picking it up was Al Ewing's Immortal Thor. The little preview. And I liked it. But I'm a little worried. And what I need to do before I even get into this is I need to put the beginning and the middle section of Donnie's Thor run aside and just say it is what it is. It was what it was. It ended on a horrible note, and I should not put any expectations on Al on having anything to do with what Donnie was trying to do in that book. Even though he mentions, the Black Winter and the idea of Odin being dead and all this stuff. And we get essentially a fresh reset for Thor, but then we kind of don't, right? Clearly something's amiss by the end of his preview. But there's definitely, and I'm almost positive Ewing did it on purpose. But this little highlight into Immortal Thor, I think we will be dealing with the conflict. Not only a new conflict within the character, but I think I would be incredibly satisfied and excited if Ewing ends up in the subcategory of the book. I don't know how you would say this. Ends up writing the conflict that he's probably dealing with in writing Thor. And how, I would assume he had to have read Donnie's run. He had to have read how it ended and probably saw what he was doing and going, oh, that's awesome. And then shit fell apart. And now he's got to come in and save the character, right? So I hope there's some subtle commentary from Ewing in when he writes this, because it kind of felt like it when we read his little preview. We've got this idea of Thor turning over a new leaf and, wearing his old costume and nostalgia's sake and fusing and healing Mjolnir so it's no longer cracked. And even Sif is like, man, you did that pretty quickly without really thinking about it. Like, don't you think there might be some consequences? He's like, nah, bro, I'm good. Everything's cool. I'm king now. And then we get, the last panel, which looks like there's some conflict, a version of Thor who, and I don't know if it's just like in a few days later, or if this is a different version of Thor that is holding Mjolnir and is holding Stormbreaker and is looking like he's in tough shape. So The expectation for Immortal Thor, Al Ewing's Immortal Thor, I think is high, and I think he can meet it. But I, just like what we've been doing with X-Men books, have to drop Donny Cates' ideas of what he was trying to do. Unless Al Ewing explicitly decides to use those ideas, and it's quite evident that he's going to use those ideas, I need to, if I want this run of Thor to have any meaningful positive form on this show, I need to drop the idea of Donny Cates' Thor. Because I didn't, since Hickman had been off the run of his X-Men stuff, I had been super critical that 6 months prior to me just dropping it of like, this isn't the same, and constantly bitching and complaining. And I don't want to do that with this Thor run. So I'm going to try hard. But this is my pick of the week. Let's get to chat really quick. Thor was great this week. Miles better than has been done with him lately. I didn't like the quick fix to the hammer and the fashion change. Okay. This felt like an old school Thor one-shot. Are you worried about Al Ewing going too far with his writing with Thor? I can see the Thor mythos being something that might get complicated. I get the sense that will be a theme intentionally in Ewing's run. I get the sense that it's going to be some kind of meta commentary on him taking over the title, the community being split, and there are people that are wanting to, the idea of what Donnie was starting to be finished. And then there will be part of the community that just wants their classic Thor back. And I kind of got that sense in this preview, right? I mean, think about it. Like, all of a sudden, everything is fixed. I'm back in my old uniform. I fixed Mjolnir. Everything is hunky-dory, right? But then we get to that last page, and it's not. And so I feel like Ewing, he may not say it outright, but I think the writing is going to express the idea of there being so much expectation for the Thor book and Thor, the character himself, that we'll see that being played out in the story. That might be a massive assumption, but I get that vibe that that's what we're going to do. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm cautious. I'm cautiously optimistic because Al Ewing is the GOAT. He's a freaking amazing writer. So I don't worry in that sense that his writing won't be good, but I think there is a lot for him to remember. I think there's a lot for him to have to incorporate. And at some point he really might not, he might get to the point where like, I don't have to do this shit. I just want to write the story I want to write. But I think he's also being respectful to what Donnie did and what Groenbeck did, and trying and other writers of Thor, and trying to build upon what they did as a foundation to write a fantastic run. We'll have to wait and see. But I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it, and that's why it's my pick of the week. Like, the art, the writing, all of it was killer. But I did not. I'm right there with you, Joe, with the quick fix to the hammer and the fashion change. But I will say I feel like it was done drastically on purpose to invoke that kind of feeling, to make you go, holy shit, they're wiping the slate. But I don't think that's the case. I really don't. I don't want Al Ewing Defender style book, though. I get that, and I don't think we will. Because his Hulk run was not Defender style at one bit. That book had it all, right? So I don't get the sense. I think the only way you're going to get an Al Ewing's Defenders book for a character is if you were to write Doctor Strange. But I don't think you're going to get that with Thor. I think you're going to get a tale of two different Thors, on purpose and I think you're going to be questioning what is real and what is not in his book. And I think there's going to be some real trippy shit that goes on in Thor for Al Ewing. But anyway, the annual is definitely my pick of the week, on a B- type of week. So, all right, let's talk about X-Men really quick. A lot kind of going on here. And I think it might be a little bit of a filler as to us getting close to the fall of X. I think we're just kind of waiting to get to that point. So I wasn't incredibly impressed with the issue. The artwork is great. I mean, you know, when it's Kasara, obviously you're gonna get gold. But overall, wasn't incredibly impressed with the issue. I think we're a couple issues too far, and we just need to get to the Hellfire Gala and the official Fall of X, so that we can really figure out, you know, what we're doing and what the X-Men, what's expected of the X-Men. But for an overall kind of fun little quick issue, it did its job. But as for a connectivity, I'm sure there are definitely things that happened in the book that will have ramifications into the Fall of X, into the Gala, which is great. But it didn't feel as strong as some of the other X-Men books from Gary have been going. It just kind of felt like a little bit of a you should have just held off a month rather than putting this out and just waiting for the Hellfire Gala to drop, so that we could really get into the beef of what's going on with the X-Men. So overall, artwork, you know, A++. The story itself, I'm sure there were the things that will be referenced in the coming fall that happened in this issue, like with Pog, or however you say his name, getting the Mysterium from what's her name? I'm blanking. Magic. But yeah. Joe, any guesses on what will happen in the Gala? One of the channels that I watched, again, that we're talking about Night Terrors and X-Men in the fall, they think that Mother Superior will be killed, and that'll kind of let loose everything that she's been trying to hide. And I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, it's got to be presumed, right, that it's going to be all hands on deck, that everything's going to crumble and fall apart, and our whole idea of what Krakoa is going to crumble, and that the foundations of Krakoa will crack indefinitely. But reading everything that we've read gearing up to the Fall of X, those have felt incredibly not what they have been solicited to say or to read. So I don't know. Maybe because we're expecting everything to kind of fall apart in this Gala, that it won't. And what we think is a fall in our eyes is something drastically different in the writer's eyes. I don't know. It's weird. I really don't. X-Men are definitely in this weird flux of just kind of swinging a big stick, but not necessarily making contact. You know, I don't know if that's a good analogy to use or not, but it kind of feels that way right now. I'm so on the X books, but love the galas. I'm hoping that's a permanent staple. I think it will until Krakoa ends. You know, I think we will see attack, and maybe a big time mutant selling them out. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of already is with Sinister, right? With his 4, but maybe it's someone even. I mean, outside of, you know, the typical Colossus, because we know he's a traitor. Maybe Tony Stark and Emma Frost wedding. That's gonna be dope. Cannot wait for that. Magneto will walk in and be the reason for the fall. Magneto needs to claim that he's the biggest X-Men villain. The question is how. Interesting. Is it that he's the biggest villain, or is it that Charles is the biggest villain, and he and Magneto needs to come and save Krakoa from one of its founders? Chew on that, right? Chew on that. All right, speaking of the fall, or before the fall, you have the Sinister 4 issue 1 by Gillen, and we are really essentially getting more perspective on these 4 and how they were created and why they were created, and just really hyping up that the mutants they don't have any clue as to what's about to happen to them. They just don't. They have no fucking clue. it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see how we deal with it. This issue, I didn't really know what to expect about this issue, but it was very insightful. But I can see someone reading this and going like, why the hell did I buy this? But we got a lot of good backstory and some real clarity as to who the four really are, who is real and who's not. Spoilers, they're all fake. They're all clones. And in a nutshell, Sinister is really, it would appear to be that he is the ultimate downfall to Krakoa. And we always kind of knew that since Hickman started, right? We've always known that, Nathaniel Essex was the one guy that you just don't trust. And then we had the whole Sins of Sinister thing, and now we've got this four who are bound to fuck shit up for their own gains, So I liked getting the backstory. I didn't know what to expect, but I enjoyed the read. It took me a minute to read it, though. I think they need to get the X-Men back to status quo before they make their way to the MCU. Magneto is easily to be sold as the bad guy. Yeah. No, I agree. I just don't know. When are they hitting the MCU? When they actually matter, right? Like, obviously, we're gonna get X-Men and mutants we already have, but we're gonna get them more in the new Deadpool movie. But I don't think that will be, even though it'll be technically like our official, X-Men thing. I don't think it'll be our official X-Men thing. It won't be the MCU's literal new version of the X-Men. So I think we have a little bit more time. But yes, I think we are in the latter stages of X-Men comics, and the big idea of what Hickman set up as a game changer for these characters will be coming to an end soon. Will it happen this year? I don't think so, but I think we are in for at least the next 2 years. Some major moves happening within the X line so that we can come back down to earth and back to that status quo of X-Men books, so that, when we get to the point of them actually showing up in the MCU, you can go out and pick up a new X-Men #1 and have some fun. But yeah. Charles Xavier would be an amazing bad guy, but man, I don't see them doing that because I would confuse our new readers because they know he's the leader and the father figure of the mutants. That's what I'm saying. I think we have at least another 1.5 to 2 years where we could play with that before we end up resetting the X-Men. But we'll have to wait and see. All right, let's jump over to DC with Dawn of DC, Adventures of Superman, John Kent, Blood and Steel, The Injustice Saga. Yo, this was fun. And I see Nate just kind of popped up here. Let's see if he calls in. So let's kind of wait. Joe, do we have a halftime question? Is there anything? You got a halftime question? Maybe we can talk about that before we move into DC, so I can give Nate even a little bit more time to jump on. As for the X line, man, I just don't know. Like, I'm getting to that point, like when we were with Jason Aaron's run, right, where I'm just sticking on to stick on. Here he is, the one and only.
All I can do is be a discombobulated voice. You good with that?
It's fine. That's fine. We'll just keep it as just Jim, but you're here there. I got you. Right. We're into DC, so.
Got it.
Because I don't think. I mean, do you have anything to add to any? What is your pick of the week? Marvel at all?
No.
Okay.
I just thought Daredevil. I thought Marvel art this week was fantastic. Daredevil and Thor were like gorgeous. Little confusing, but gorgeous. So. Yeah,
I think the consistent conversation we've had for Daredevil is that artwork was fantastic. The story felt incredibly rushed, and it feels like Chip is sprinting to the end of his run.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's him, like just his writing style, or if that's Marvel going like, all right, wrap it up, got to move on.
Yeah, I think that's probably editorial saying, hey, let's do it in 14 issues. And he's like, ah, shit.
Yeah, that sucks. And then the other thing that was said was, does Chip have any anything planned after his Daredevil's run, or is he done with Marvel?
don't think he has anything planned, but you don't let a guy like Chip Zdarsky walk away from such a successful run.
I totally agree. You know, let's.
Gotta be somewhere.
Yeah, and then what was the other books? X-Men. I don't think you read. Did you read Sinister?
I was not able to get to those. No.
Okay, well then we're good. All right, let's jump over. Oh, well, Thor. What did you think of Thor? Did you like
Thor? Loved. Thor was good. I thought the MODOK story was really funny. Like, for a second there, whenever he was like, we were going Elseworlds and Peter Parker, and I was like, all right, come on. Well, this is just like a one issue. We don't need to do this. But the art was just so overwhelmingly amazing that I was totally cool.
Well, and what did you think about Ewing's little preview?
I at first thought it was quite frustrating until the very end, because it was like, oh look, everything's going to be nice and shiny again, and this is essentially saying, hey, we're giving Al Ewing a clean slate toy box. We're not going to pretend like anything that's happened before, especially like the Donny Cates run has happened. And then you turn the page on the last page and you see him like bloodied and cut and fucked up, and you're like, well, maybe not.
Yeah,
maybe they are gonna let him play a little bit with what's been going on.
And my explanation to that was I think it's a commentary. I think it's a Ewing commentary. I think it's a sub commentary of him essentially dealing, I wouldn't say the pressures, but just dealing with the previous runs, including like Jason Aaron and Donnie, and you know, and kind of playing into the trope that this is a new run, so it's nice and shiny, and I'm going to fix everything within the preview so that the slate is clean. And I think he did that on purpose. I think he did that to see and get a reaction out of readers when they first read it, to see if anyone would continue to read all the way through to the end.
Yeah.
So I think that's how the run's going to be. So I'm excited. Someone, I believe it was Joe, that said that he's worried though that it's going to be another Al Ewing Defenders run, and I just don't think that's going to be the case.
Ooh, I
think there might be a couple
could
issues.
See that, but I don't think it will be that.
No, I think there might be a couple issues here and there that get pretty meta and pretty, you know, out there when it, you know, mythos wise and all of that. But I don't think the entire run will be like that, because we got some of that in his Immortal Hulk run where we got some weird shit, you know. So
for sure,
yeah. Joe's halftime question is: if you're like me and juggling about 50 storylines, has there been a point that y'all felt like you're in over all y'all's head? Me not remembering my books feels like I didn't get my money's worth.
Yeah, I feel like that a lot, and I feel like, ironically or maybe unexpectedly, to your point, is that's when I actually feel like I do get my money's worth, because I have the issues right here in front of me, and if I'm like, yo, what happened? I can just pop back and look at my issues before. And it's like, man, okay, it was worth it. Like the value's here. I was able to go back and read,
right?
And reread. And, you know, a lot of times I don't think that the effort to, you know, to pay off is necessarily worth it to do that much if you're behind in a storyline. But I don't know. I've also been a strange person where, like, when I read, like, not only am I juggling all of these stories, but I'm reading 3 separate novels right now.
Jeez.
And I just kind of juggle between them as my mood goes. One's like a fantasy, one's a horror, and 2 are fantasy and one's a horror. So it's kind of
right.
I'm used to it, but I could understand how that could be.
Yeah, and like for me, I'm reading comics and manga, and I've got like an entire bookshelf filled with manga that I'm just, you know, I pick up an issue here and there, and then at the same time I got my weekly reads. So kind of in the same boat. I mean, novels are just a completely different, you know, that's actual reading. Like real reading. Real reading. Hey, well, let's jump over to DC with this really good issue of Superman. Yeah. Kind of predictable. But overall, I think it moved the plot line, right? It moved this idea of John trying to solve a problem that might be a little bit too big for him. And he might just have to, he might quite literally have to punch his way through this problem. It might be the only way.
Yeah, I'm finding, so I just finished year 2 of Injustice as well, which is funny that this entire 6-issue run has made me go back and read 24 issues of a different separate run. But my goodness, am I so happy that I did that, because I think the ramifications of this Superman are not really felt until you really see some of the horrific things that he's done. And we just don't know that. You know, as a reader that hasn't read Injustice, you don't really know how fucked this version of Superman is. And I cannot wait, because I feel like this is a very interesting take on the Superman mythos versus the antithesis of itself, done in a way that has never been done before. And how often do you get to say that with 70 plus years of Superman comics? At what point have we seen Kal-El represent the very antithesis of everything he's ever stood for, and then his son be able to be the one that is the correct symbol of the S on the chest, right? And like, I don't know. I think it's really fun.
Yeah, no, I thought the issue itself was really good. I think it moved this plot along. Is this still a mini?
It is. Next issue is the last issue.
Well, hopefully there's like John will return, because
yeah, I really need John to have his own book. I think we have proven that the Superman era right now can hold that. Can hold that for sure.
Yep. Aaron Harvey asks, "What novels, Nate? What novels are in?"
Oh, right now I am reading 3 different things. I am reading The Hero of Ages, the 3rd Mistborn book. I am reading Tress of the Emerald Sea, Brandon Sanderson's other single novel that was released this year. And then I'm trying to remember, the name is kind of confusing. It's like The Terrible Things That Happened Between Us, I believe is the name of it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a collection of 3 different short stories in horror format, and it is pretty horrific.
All right. Joe asks, "Are y'all big note takers to prepare for the show? I try to take some notes, but I'm going back and rewatching y'all's reviews, and they've been a big help. I am not. It's all up in my noggin. I mean, I will say at the beginning when we first started the show, I took some notes because I didn't know how I was going to remember everything. But I've gotten pretty good at just kind of looking at the cover and be like, oh, yeah, that's what happened, you know? But I think that's only because we've been doing the show now for almost 3 years. So I have gotten into like a rhythm of remembering things. So no, not really. And to be honest, you know, that's why I love having Nate here, because we kind of just bounce off of each other, but then also chat too. Like y'all bring up stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. But I kind of don't say that. And I just go like, yep. And then I talk, kind of just spin off of that. So yeah, I don't personally take notes.
So I have found, where I've been doing a different couple, things. Mostly I won't take notes, if I'm running short on time. But I have found a couple of different things that are working for me lately. One is that I use ChatGPT to make me a one-sheet comics critique guide, where it's just like gives you just enough room to give like 1 or 2 sentences on commenting about character development, plot, art, art, panel choice, and something else. I can't remember, but it's like a really quick and to the point, just like a one-sheet cheat sheet. Which I have found to be good for like keeping up with like maybe being a little bit more critical or critiquing, but not so much like long form notes. So it's funny you asked that this week, because I actually found something this week that I'm going to try starting next week.
All right.
I was just on Reddit, just kind of perusing, and I saw this guy was like, hey, this is, I just bought like a huge collection. And this guy used to host a radio show at his college at like midnight. And it was a comic book review show in the 90s. And all of his backing boards have his notes from that issue. Not on, of course, not on the part that touches the book, on the very back. So you can just flip the book around. And that's a big area for you to see.
That's a good
notes.
idea.
Like he said the guy would just pull his backing board out. So he's obviously not pressing against his comic. He would write his notes on there, and then as he was doing his show, he would never even really need to open the book. He'd just flip it in the back,
That's
It'll
not
be
a bad
written there
idea.
right on his backing board. So I think that's really neat. I'm gonna
That's
try
pretty
that
cool.
out.
I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. Here we go. This is the part of the show that everybody I think was waiting for. And I'm actually going to move to this one first and then we'll go to Batman. We'll just kind of go in between this.
I'm behind, so I don't actually see.
Okay. Well, it's first. I'm starting with First Blood, not Batman.
Oh, did you do Steelworks?
Oh no, I didn't. I didn't even get it.
Oh, really?
Oops.
Did you not get the first one?
No, I got the first one. I guess I didn't get the second one.
Oh, I thought you were totally about this book.
No, I didn't get it.
Oh, well, before we move to Night Terrors, then I will just say Steelworks was great. It was really good.
Well, shit.
Steelworks is doing 110% exactly what I want Steelworks to do, and that is be the little bit of like tacky glue in between the characters that are maybe getting missed right now in the super family.
Yeah.
So I love seeing Natasha and John here, but we get to see Jay in here as well. Turns out that Jay has been hired as the what's the word? Like he's the one that does the media and stuff for the entire super family.
Okay.
So I just think that was such a cool idea of a way to get Jay to be
more involved
with things that are going on. And the backup layer, like the overall plot of the story of this guy that's getting taken advantage of by a bad guy to try to sabotage John and the whole Steelworks, idea, I think is great. I really like the idea that John is putting forth this idea that he wants to create this super defense mechanism thing where Metropolis isn't going to need superheroes anymore. They're going to be able to protect themselves through this magical thing that he hasn't really proposed yet. And they're like all totally against it. Like we have the entire super family in this issue, including the kids.
There you go.
You totally missed out on a great issue.
Thanks.
So go pick it up.
All right. Let's get into the potatoes. Yeah. I want you to tell me how you felt about. I just want to get your whole. I want you to start. I want you to do this because I have my thoughts and I just want to see if they align. I doubt they do, but I just want to see.
So I'm having a very tough time with what I should do with Night Terrors on a whole. So
okay.
Do you want me to go Night Terrors on a whole first, or do you want me to go First Blood specifically?
Let's just go Night Terrors of a whole because I think we're both aligned in what we're going to say about this.
I mean, so the first word I would say is, or the first sentence I would say is, sometimes bloated things can be horrific. Like when you see a big bloated body, it's like, oh, it's kind of gross and it's kind of like horror-esque.
Yeah.
But a big bloated event is not. It is also horrific to see, but not in a really good way.
Yeah.
And so of course that's what we've got here is a lot of bloat. And in a lot of ways, I kind of want to tear it up. Like I kind of just want to like really be like, yo, this is fucking bullshit. Like this is a cash grab. This is, totally worthless. I mean, I really do to kind of like harsh the vibe here on Night Terrors. But in some I'm having a hard time doing it. And the why is besides Joshua Williamson, who is getting put on all of the major books, right? You look at look at the Poison Ivy book, or you look at the Joker book, or you look at the Ravager book. We're getting characters, we're getting creators that are either creating voices for themselves with these characters. My positive case of that would be the Joker book was amazing, and Matt Rosenberg is showing that he is quite possibly the definitive Joker writer. Like the dude is just nailing Joker on all fronts. I think, but where this could go wrong is a book like Black Adam. Black Adam was beyond useless, and there was really no value or substance there for me, at least. And I was excited to at least read it because one single person was getting, or the writer was also the artist. He did have a colorist with him, but he was a name that I did not recognize, who has a little bit of credit to his name, mostly covers, Jeremy Hahn. But I was hoping, man, this is where DC can do well. If you're gonna bloat me out with amazing creators who can just like blow it out of the park.
Right.
To me, the perfect example was in Heroes Reborn when we got that James Sticco Rocket Raccoon book. Literally, I would have never known who this man was if it wasn't for that issue, and now he's one of my favorite artists in all comics. And I just wanted it to hit on at least like more than one book, and it just didn't. And so it's like, if you're gonna bloat me out, if you're gonna make me read 6 books in 1 week, either make it worth it, like really make this an epic, like where the story counts and we really need to know what's going on, or make it fun and show me good new creators that I need to start keeping. And we totally failed at that. We didn't create a compelling story in really any of the books. I wouldn't even go so far as to say that the Joker book, which I give an A+, had a compelling story. It just was a funny thing. But you get a tiny bit of like body horror Batman issue. You get the gross factor in Poison Ivy. I don't know what the hell Black Adam was trying to do at all. And the Ravager story was okay. It was okay. Which is disappointing because it was Ed Brisson and I expected more. Which again, if we're going to do that, I don't know, we can't miss. We're putting Ed Brisson on a book that has no actual meaning or matter. We can't miss with that.
Okay.
So that's where I'm at.
So I will indulge your initial primal instincts on this, and I think it is a grab. And here is my main takeaway. What's the point? Like, what is? Why should I care about Night Terrors? We learned about Night Terrors 2 months ago in Free Comic Book Day, right? So we have 2 months to prepare for this thing. And I read this and went, like, it finished. I read the Batman thing and I was like, why should I give any shits about Night Terrors? Mm-hmm. And what this Joe says, this would be like what if Marvel did a large what if event. But the thing is it's not being presented that way, right? It's not. Right. It's we're in nightmares. The DC universe is being shifted again in this massive event that is Night Terrors. And if you read First Blood, right? It was even evident that Williamson was like, okay, you need to mention Batman surviving the Fallout Protocol. You need to mention that Wonder Woman's been dead for a while and she's finally back. You need to mention that Superman's been out at Warworld and he's back. Like,
right.
Who fucking cares? Like, what are we? Oh man, I struggled, and I'm already kind of going down this road, and I need to like reel it back in because we're a positive show. We don't like to shit on things. But all I have to say is this to me feels like a total waste of time, and we are literally pausing all of our ongoing books for a horror event in the middle of the summer by no one who is a strong horror writer. And I think it was Joe that said this event is a summer late or 2 summers late, and it should have been headed by James Tynion. If James Tynion was writing this event, it would have mattered, and it would have been flawless. It would have been on point horror.
Yeah.
And this, I was telling my wife this because I was like, I just need to riff. We were literally driving to go swim. And I was like, I'm reading this book, and I read it, and it felt literally, this book and Batman felt like a story my son would tell me while we're driving in the car. First, Batman went to this, and then Deadman jumped in his body, and then that's literally how this thing read. It's almost as if DC went up to Williamson and said, hey, we're getting ready to move our headquarters, and we're pausing all our books, and we need you to write an event, and by the way, you have 2 months. Go.
Yeah.
And this is what came out. And I'm not picking up the rest of Night Terrors. I'm not.
No.
I'm not. I'm done. I've been down the DC event road before. I did it with Death Metal, and I was like, this is fucking dope. And then immediately it was like, and it doesn't matter anymore. The first issue into the new era of DC, everything that happened in Death Metal doesn't matter anymore. Okay, let's move on. So that was burn number 1. Burn number 2 was literally from Williamson when we read Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. And both of us were like, what the fuck are we doing? And it also felt like it didn't matter. We're still reading our books, and Nathan, we're in the middle of us redoing the entire DC universe again with Dawn of DC. We just started, and now we're doing a summer event where everything is being paused. I'm done. I'm not saying I'm done with DC. I'm just not reading DC for a month and a half. Right. Outside of any book that's not being paused because of Night Terrors, which isn't that many.
No, it's really not, unfortunately.
But I'm going to go to the shop on Wednesday and say, I'm done. I don't want any Night Terror books. Don't save them for me. Take them off my pool. I don't care. I just don't. Yeah. And to put a cherry on top, I'm sorry. I am so sorry that I'm being a negative Nancy, and I apologize because I normally am not like this. Outside of my John Romita Jr. bashing.
Yeah. Yeah.
The artwork was atrocious. The artwork was absolutely atrocious. That's it.
It was not good. It was not good. Really, it wasn't good in any books, but especially wasn't good in this one.
And that's unfortunate because, like, we're, again, this is why I don't trust DC. I don't trust them to do an event. I trust writers, right? And I don't trust DC as a whole for an event. You're going to put Chip Zdarsky on Batman? Got me. You're going to put James Tynion on whatever? You have me, But, like, and I think, who said it? It was Disciple. I've been saying for years Williamson is hella overrated for me. I'm still going to buy every issue of this to see the Sandman tie-ins, but the only thing I'm like, F so far were the 2 tie-ins. I'm surprised they didn't just do a real what if with creators doing basically whatever they want while they moved locations, if that's the case. Weird if this was the plan while switching up locations. Here's the thing. You really have to stop production on all your ongoings to move locations. Like,
yeah, that seems like a really bad excuse.
Exactly. And it's like, what this is, if it's a what if, you can do your ongoings and have this, right? It's because we're trying to sell over bloated size books. It's a $6 book. $6 book. Why the fuck did I buy this? And all the other ones are going to be like that, and it's, this event does not feel like it matters, and it came out of nowhere. Now, you could say the same thing, and I'm in the sense of it came out of nowhere when it comes to Marvel. Ultimate Invasions kind of came out of nowhere. That being, but we had somewhat of a buildup, but you had to have been reading other books to see that the creator, that version of Reed Richards, has been fucking around trying to rebuild his universe for a while, right? So we kind of knew at some point this ultimate thing was going to happen. It was all rumor, but it was going to happen. But that event feels genuine. This feels totally out of the blue. Doesn't make sense, and I don't care, and I don't want it. And so I was telling everybody in chat before you got here, I was watching another channel, and they were like, we just don't know how we're going to tackle this massive summer event. Here, I'll tell you, don't do it. Like, just don't do it. If you feel like it's a burden to have to actually cover it, it's not worth our time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That I can agree with. One thing that I think is just kind of a cherry on top of proving the point. There is a particular story that seems like it is going to be somewhat, if not quite, important to the story. And it involves what is going on with Robin during this event. The only problem is the story for Robin starts in Free Comic Book Day. It continues as a backup in the Batman book, and then continues as its third part in the #1 Robin Night Terrors tie-in. Then I believe it continues into issue 2 after that, and then Batman concludes in the Batman backup. So you'll have 5 pieces throughout 4 different styled books.
To me, that is a total turnoff, and I think DC has royally fucked how they write comics right now. I'm not saying the writers. I'm saying how DC is trying to. It screams. And I know you. Whenever I say this, you're always like, "No, James, that's just you." Jim, sorry. I just name dropped my name. That's how pissed I am. I name dropped my actual name.
We all know your name.
I know, but whenever I say this, you're like, it's not, you're just making it up in your brain. This screams to me cash grab. Buy everything. You don't want to miss out. Buy everything, because this is going to happen over here, but then it's going to get continued back over here, and then we're going to relaunch in #1. But if you didn't read anything back here, you're not going to understand what's going on in this #1. What the hell? Like, stop it. Like, it just feels like I need to shut up and move on because I'm being a Debbie Downer, but I'm sorry.
Because I agree. I didn't really have much, and I wanted to push for it. I mean, I literally put in the effort. I read all 6 books, and I couldn't find anything redeeming enough. Again, the Joker story, if you're a Joker fan, Bat fan, I would say go read Joker, and I would even go so far as to say FWC corrected me, and I would say that the plot is compelling. I'm just not a very smart person by the time I got there. Joker essentially takes this office job after he thinks that he kills Batman on accident, and he has Batman's corpse in his house, but there's a new sighting of Batman everywhere, and the corpse is still in his closet, and so, like, who the fuck is that, and like, what's going on? That is a pretty compelling mystery to be left for issue 2. So I will be reading issue 2, but more just for fun, not because it has anything to do with Night Terrors. But still, even with that, there was just not anything that I think makes us go forward, and I really need to go make sure. I don't think I subscribe to any, so I don't know.
Well, I'm not picking up anymore. I'm done. Like, I'm over it. Like, there was a very thin line for this, and it just shattered, split, whatever it is.
Yeah.
John says this event blew all positive DC momentum for me. Outside of Peacemaker and Doom Patrol, I bought more DC books in the past 6 months than ever before, but I am not digging this event at all.
Yep, I agree.
So, I'm just starting my business, but if I stopped everything I was currently doing and started something new before finishing, I finished and put everyone on pause for more than a day, I'd be in trouble. Exactly. I feel sorry for retail store owners on buying all the books each week and knowing people won't pay for these. Yeah. Well, and when we talked to Rick about it, or no, Mike, I'm sorry. Mike was like, we're not ordering a lot of copies of everything because there's just too many. And I get it now. I think they don't even have faith in it.
Yeah.
Events like this makes me just buy the DC Universe app and read them for 3% of the cost. The Robin story had super cartoony art. It makes no sense in context. Imagine trying to sell anything but comics as a 27-part product. The only way for me to be on board with this event is if I go in with a mindset for a silly goose time and what people's nightmare is. Yeah, I mean, that's I guess that's a valid way of looking at it. I just think overall, I didn't and we don't have to read this, right? Like no one's forcing us to read this, but when you cut all your books, and those are the only things going on in DC, I mean, it kind of makes you want to read it, but no, I'm good. It's just our shows are going to be a lot shorter. All right, let's talk about a DC book that's been kick-ass, and that is Peacemaker Tries Hard, issue number 3. This was fun. I don't think it was as strong as the first 2 issues, but it was a silly goose time. It still had the vibe. The writing still was quick and funny. And the new, or the Psycho Bee or whatever the hell he's called at the end was just like, what the fuck? So
the Red Bee.
Yeah, overall, the Red Bee. Overall, I had a lot of fun with this issue. It wasn't my pick of the week. Thor Annual was my pick of the week, but that was because of the artwork. But overall, I had a good time with this book. I thought it was super fun.
Yeah, this book mixed with his other book that I never remember. What was it? Oh, Where Monsters Lie, the serial killer book. It is making me pay attention any time I see Kyle Starks' name. As a matter of fact, I think this week I'm going to pick up. I only read his first issue of. It was like called "I Hate This Place" or "Fuck This Place." They changed the name of it. I only read the first issue and I thought it was pretty good, but I was like, my pull was too big. I'm gonna have to go back and pick up the first trade just came out of that. So his sense of humor is just smack on point with mine, especially in a comics atmosphere. So yeah, no, I loved this. I thought this was great. It was very close to being my pick of the week.
Yeah,
honestly, I say that. I don't know that I made a pick of the week.
I'm on standby.
Look, let's go with it.
Whoa.
Pick of the week.
On the spot, yo.
On the spot.
Nice.
This was like the one book that it felt like I saw it, I was happy, I was excited, I got through it, and there was no effort, it was fun. I got to the end and was like, oh man, I want more, but that was so satisfying.
Yeah, I'd agree. Totally agree. All right, let's move over to our independents. We're going to kick it off with Grimm, issue number 11 from Stephanie Phillips. We're continuing on down this road of building this world, building this deathless place, right? And nobody can die. The world is in chaos, and there is, a political game at foot, really, when it comes to the afterlife and life in general. There wasn't a lot of action in the book, but I think that's okay. But we had a lot of movement in the book, and we got a lot of character development in the book, and a lot of moving parts. And so I wouldn't say it's the strongest issue in the 11 that are currently out, but it's not the weakest either. Like it was necessary to continue to build these characters and what their motivations are, and what, if we can figure out what their motivations are, because we don't truly know everyone, who's the villain, who's the good guy. You know what I mean? Like, there's just a lot of shadiness going on in this book right now.
Yeah. I'm curious who it is that, what's her name is trying to pull out of hell.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't think we know yet. Yeah.
No, we don't know, but it's obvious that we're supposed to feel like, don't do it, don't trust her, and our main character, remind me the name of the main character again?
Jessica.
Jessica's wary too. She's like, I ain't doing this shit. Like, I don't care. I don't care what your problems are. And she's even, at the end of the issue, she is given, or she's potentially about to get the death scythe, the golden scythe. I don't know, man. This book has just been fun, and I have a good time almost every time it pops up in my pool. And so I really do believe that Grimm has a really good chance of becoming either an animated show or a live action show on Netflix. I think it has a really good shot, because this has been super fun.
I don't have any faith in anything happening with Netflix.
Well, somewhere then.
Not with how they've botched things so much in the past, in the recent past. But
right.
But I do think that was more a commentary on Netflix, not on Grimm. I think you're right. I think Grimm is definitely a compelling enough story. If anything, I feel like it fixed the Max list of shows a little bit more. I would say that this, to me, I felt like this was a weaker issue. I felt like it was just like issue 6, our first issue back, trying to jump back in, and we were like, what's going on? Not, I felt like it meandered a little bit, especially with Jessica and what's his name back in the jail. I felt like that should have been 1 or 2 pages. And it just kept going.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
you got to dip out?
no, yeah, I gotta go get that dog real quick.
Yeah, go for it. I'll check out chat. It's nice when the writer feels like they have the similar sense of humor. Oh, that's talking about Peacemaker. This Grim issue wasn't my favorite issue, but what does it say about this book when it's still pretty awesome? Thank you guys so much for suggesting this title. No, I mean, that's the whole point of the show. Really, is to be like, hey man, don't miss out. Don't miss out on these books because we're reading them and they're fantastic. And Grimm has been one of those books where we've just had a really good time. I mean, there's been maybe 2 issues that have been just kind of misses or just kind of out there, but it's always swung back in with the vengeance. And so Grimm for me, I mean, I don't know if it's up to the 5th printing of the first issue. Like I did that. I went and did that. And that's just how confident in of this book. It's just solid. And if I'm lucky enough for it to hit, I cannot wait. But Grimm has been fun.
Yep.
All right, tell me about Hairball.
Hairball. Yeah, Hairball was interesting. So the first 3 issues are you don't see it for a while. The way that the narration is going on, but our main character is talking to a therapist the entire time, and we see her growing a little bit as it goes. And so you assume that's what's happening in this book too. And I'll just go ahead and let you know now that is not who she is talking to. I'll let you know in a minute who she is talking to. But another thing that I noticed right away, like as soon as I opened this book, is the first 3 issues, all of the backing of the panels were black. So like all of the edges of the pages, like anything that wasn't a panel was pure black. It's one of the things that stood out to me. It was just like, whoa, this is a really dark, literal, like dark book. And then you get to this page and it's all white pages. This book, it's all white pages.
Interesting.
And I was like, whoa, like that is a huge tonal shift, which is interesting because if you go by the covers get increasingly myopic as they go. Like the first one's just a cat, then there's a cat with a sideways eyeball with a finger in his mouth, and then a cat with a severed hand in his mouth, and then a cat with an entire burning building behind him. And so it's like, how are we almost like going backwards here? And Matt Kide really did a fun backwards sort of like making you feel like it just the background was like affecting your and it turns out that the adult version of our main character has decided that she's going back and get her cat. She was entirely wrong, that this cat was some type of deity, that the Egyptians were right, cats are gods and we just don't need to fuck with them, we need to embrace them. And so she tracks the cat down to Greece and goes in and basically helps the cat murder this dude that's like abusing some girl that has the cat, and they like stab him and catch him on fire and make it look like he got drunk, passed out, and a cigarette caught on fire and he burned, which was quite dramatic and intense.
Okay.
And then it turns out that she's been having this therapy conversation with the cat the whole time, talking about like how much better she's doing and how much better her mental health is and how better life. It turns out, oh, she's just talking to the cat the whole time, and she's like, all right, God. So like, yeah, like what are we gonna go do now? Like, we're gonna hit the road, and the cat's just like, yeah, just like purrs at her, and by this time the cat's eyeball has turned from sideways back to
oh my God.
So this cat has fully embraced, and she has fully embraced the cat demonic demigod that it is. I had a lot of fun with this book. I would say that this is a great example once again that Dark Horse is doing some really good, fun horror or horror adjacent books. I would say if you're into any of these creators whatsoever, and you haven't been picking up the singles, this is a definite trade pickup. And it'll probably be a little bit more hefty too, because each issue has been like a $6 50-page book. So I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought I'd give the series an A- overall.
Okay, all right. Dang, that's high.
Yeah.
All right. All right, let's move over to Jeff Lemire's Phantom Road, issue number 5. What the fuck is going on in this book?
I can't help you.
I did. I mean, I don't even know how to really review it outside of we get more mystery. It's getting weirder. We literally have a cartoon bear in the random upside down universe killing the putty looking guys. There you go. But that's. Did you not read it?
No, I forgot about it. No, I completely forgot about it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's I don't know. It's more mystery. I don't know. Like, and let me say this. I don't know what the fuck's going on in this book in a good way to the point where I'm going to pick up issue 6.
Oh yeah.
But
Are you?
Oh, is this it?
The unsolicited issue 6.
Okay, I guess I'm done.
It's not over. It's not over, but it's not.
Well,
like,
then what a way to take a break, because dude, like this issue was. I mean, we've had. I think issue 3 was the third. The third issue was issue 3 was the third issue. The third issue, had one of those moments of like, what's going on? Like it's already weird that we're transported to this alternate version of our universe where there are just these clay-looking zombie things attacking you, right? But then we get this like sense of like Black Flag devil shining kind of feel in issue 3, and this issue takes that idea and turns it up to 11. It's just weird. I just don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going on, and I'm in on it. I'm still in on it because it's Jeff Lemire. So
yeah, I just need to read the issue. That was my bad.
It'll take like 2 minutes. I like Phantom Road, but I would like it to be like if it were to move a tiny bit faster. I'm wondering what you guys would think about Once Upon a Time at the End of the World. I read issue 1 and 2, and then I stopped, and it's only because my pulls were getting heavy. I might have to get back on the train since I'm probably not reading DC for at least a month and a half. So
I read the first 3 issues, and I'll tell you, I remember enjoying every issue. I don't really know why I picked it.
I'm telling you, it was probably because our pulls were just bloating.
Well, I mean, I was reading it. I just can't remember. I didn't make the effort to keep reading it. But I should probably go back and do that in the trades out. I told myself I'd just go pick up the trade. So probably should just go pick up the trade, start it over again, and see what's going on.
Joe asks, we're halfway through the year. What independent publisher has done the best so far? That's a little hard because I feel like my go-to would be Boom, but Boom has been kind of quiet lately. So I guess I don't know if I have an answer, but I think yours would be Dark Horse.
No, mine. Let's see. That's really hard.
Yeah, I feel like this year's been a little weird for independent comics.
You know what? I think. Hold on. Who's doing Blue Book comic?
Isn't that Dark Horse?
Yeah, and then who did what was his other one that I enjoyed? The Closet.
That's Image.
It's not a publisher. It's Tinian. I don't know what else to say. Like, it's not a publisher. It's just Tinian. So my initial, if I have to give you a gut judgment, it's going to be Boom, because if nothing else, because Boom is doing something that's killing the children.
I know what it is for me.
What is it for you?
And we've only had one issue of it, but it's because of the hype and it's because of what they're doing, and it's gonna be it is it is no shut up it is because look, man, it just the way it got pulled off. I'm excited for it, and Daniel Warren fucking Johnson is going to be doing a Transformers book. I'm sorry, that's amazing. So that's my answer. You know, because I'm not some bandana covering my mouth fan of people fighting pretend monsters in the dark. Okay, I don't read that book.
I'm not even like you make yourself look bad by doing that. So
whatever that book is,
yeah.
But that would be my answer. I'm sorry. That's just, and it's because I'm not reading that, you know. But I think Void Rivals, I think that kind of encapsulated what comic books are and what the industry should be doing as a whole when it comes to just, you know, getting people hyped.
Yeah, I will say that is probably my my quick throw out is Boom, just because of Something's Killing Children. However, I believe Something is Killing the Children has only come out in 3 months so far this year. So I can easily give Image an honorable mention just because they have a lot of books that I've either currently reading, love, or have been very much looking forward to getting into. So fuck this place, All Against All, Monstrous I've been really looking at getting, Phantom Road, of course World Tree is probably my number one debut so far for the year. So I mean, it's got a lot of good books going.
Tell me about Swan Song.
Did you not read it?
No.
What'd you pick it up for?
I got it and I was like, if I read it, I read it. And I started reading it and I was like, I don't want
to. I have a lot of mixed feelings about Swan Song.
Did it live up to the hype that
that I myself put on it?
Yes.
No, it did not.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then I'm kind of glad I didn't read it then.
No. So, Disciple, you, as we have already established in today's episode already, are much smarter than me, and I might need some help on this book, but there were just a lot of things about it that kind of confused me a little bit. So we get this one-shot story of the world is ending. There's like this doomsday clock that's going down. It's ticking down. It's like at 8 or something when we start the issue. But really, the issue is about a boy who's helping his mom through renal failure, and he reads her these like home botanical books, like keeping your own garden, your own peonies and stuff like that.
What'd you say? Whoa, dude, you can't say that.
Peonies.
Stop it.
I don't actually remember if that's the flower or not.
Say that too fast.
Hydrangeas, maybe that's
hydrangeas. Yeah.
He goes walking out through the streets of hell essentially to go get this Fable the last issue for his mother, and along the way he has to bludgeon a guy essentially to death with a hammer. He gets shivved by like a 7-year-old and saved by the guy that he was looking for that has his magazines. And the entire time there are like these weird clown people on the streets trying to steal his emotions, or like trying to get emotions out of them because they can't get them themselves. If you've ever read anything by W. Maxwell, King of Nowhere, Haha, Ice Cream Man, Art Pulp, there's just this je ne sais quoi, like sort of like you can't put your finger on it feeling, and sometimes it works so well because it's like getting lost in the slight uncomfortability of not understanding makes you feel like you get it a little bit more. It makes the world feel more real.
Yeah.
And here I felt like we tipped a little bit too much, and I just felt like I wasn't really in there. He also did a lot of the internal dialogue mixed with the external, the Donny Cates style thing, where every other word is either it's in his head and it's out. It's in his head, and they're neither of them are segmented at all towards what the other one is saying. And so I found myself reading all of the internal dialogue first, then going back and reading the external dialogue because I couldn't keep. Now, that sounds like I was complaining a lot, and maybe I was. However, this was, if somehow, some way, Tinian found the perfect artist of all time to do what's their book with Martin? What's his book with Martin Simmons? True Detectives, or what is it?
Department of Truth.
Department of Truth. That's Department of Truth.
True Detectives.
Somehow they W. Maxwell Prince came up with another book that there's no other artist. If any other artist in the whole world tried to do this book, they couldn't have done it. Daniel Warren Johnson couldn't have done this book. And so the art was, to me, was just such perfection that it was easy for me to forgive what little problems that I could find. And so I actually look forward to reading this issue again to just try to feel it. There aren't a lot of issues that I want to make an effort to understand. See, Disciple, there you go again. He's smarter than me. He says, I loved the dual. Maybe it's just my personal style, but having the magazine at the tie-in, at the end, tie-in with the nuclear bomb. Yeah, I agree. Okay. Joe said Swan Song was really good, but damn depressing. Had to reread my Spider-Man book. Okay. John picked it up at my suggestion. That makes me.
Man, you suck, Nate.
I enjoyed it, but didn't love it. Issue 2. I'm very so this is an anthology. Very much, I was calling it the silver coin replacement. I don't know if maybe that was too bold of a comment. I'm really interested in the next issue though, because the next issue says the title of it is The End of a Marriage. The art preview is amazing, and we have one guy who is situated in what looks like medieval armor, maybe even Japanese inspired, facing a woman who is in what looks like 30th century super hardcore space art. So I'm picking up issue 2 with a lot of enthusiasm.
Okay.
This is something that I will probably give a lot more leeway to than other things, because I feel like if I just crack the code, I'll be able to understand it and happy with it.
Cool.
Awesome. Oh, Disciple, that's a good way to put it. He said his books are, and I agree. That's a great way to put it. You love esoteric downers, don't you?
I'm good. All right, well, that's going to do it for issue 139 of Two Fat Guys Pull List. Thank you for everyone that watched this episode live and anyone who is watching this as a past episode. Just to give you guys a little bit of insight to what's going on here on the channel, YouTube reached out to most of its creators and let them know that they moved the goalposts on what we can actually do when it comes to engaging with our community. And we are incredibly close to being able to offer memberships to the channel, super chats, and merchandise. We're basically about 100 watch hours away from having this channel be able to open up even more for you, and us being able to offer you more exclusivity and more ways to support the channel outside of just watching the show. And if that's the way you want to support the channel, by all means, continue to do so. We love it. But they've opened up avenues for the channel to be able to potentially give you guys more access to us and have more ownership for the channel. So we should have memberships for the channel, where we'll have like different tiers of memberships where you'll get emotes and badges and stuff like that, and member tiers, obviously super chats, ways to support the show. And then, you know, hopefully we'll be able to get ways to do merchandise where you can buy a Two Fat Guys Pulls t-shirt, or maybe a sticker, or even potentially a hat. We're going to look into ways to get that done once that part of YouTube opens up for this channel. I might look into like a Shopify website where they do basically everything. We just submit the designs, and then you guys can go on there and buy whatever we decide to put out there. So, you know, Beefy Pull shirt maybe incoming. You know, we want to bring that back. Just a t-shirt with both of our faces on it. Maybe some of the anime designs that I've been doing for the thumbnails might be on some of the shirts. So we'll see. But just be on the lookout for that. And one way you can help us reach that, get past another 100 hours watched, make sure to share our videos out there. Make sure to just really get them out there and you know, share them on social, put them on Twitter, put them on Facebook, however you share them, just to get more eyeballs on it, so we can get those hours up. But again, we're only 100 away. We're gonna do it, but to get it there quicker. So that's just kind of an update for the channel, that we're getting close to memberships, super chats, and merchandise. We're right around the corner with that. Well, be prepared to watch a new Comic Book Day video this Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, where we'll talk about our pools. And then we'll be here live again for, you know, another live show, and hopefully Nate will be able to grace us with his face, with his beautiful beard. But anyway, that's what's gonna do it. Let's hit this chat really quick. Thanks for the show, guys. Merch would be awesome. Shirts, please. Hell yeah, that's cool. I thought you had to get 1,000 subs before that stuff. Congrats on the advance. Yeah, so they moved in order to get like advertising, you know, for us to start generating revenue for ads, we got to get to 1,000 and 4,000 hours watched. But for the memberships and all that stuff, they've moved it to a little lower, which we qualify for everything outside of the hours watched, so we're right there. I think he didn't get spared, but he's kind of stinky. What are we talking about? I gotta catch the rewatch. Oh, your dog. I'm sorry. that catches books when we can. Joe, or a halftime question shirt. Ooh, Joe, I like it. Mm-hmm. Stickers, yeah, we'll definitely get. Nate is scroll. That's why he didn't show his face. Ooh, fuck. You found him out. Anyways, guys, we'll see you on Tuesday and this Sunday. And then if any breaking news drops, we'll be here. Don't worry. We got you. We got you covered. We'll see you guys in the next one. Later. Oh, wait. Be kind to one another. Read more comics. I forgot my tagline.
Oh, my God.